Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that says one day you're young and the next day you're searching for Thanksgiving recipes that won't cause heartburn. It's Dale.
You gotta have something good, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can fix that, just drink a beer.
Yeah, just, what if I had beer that had Tums in it or some antacid in it?
God. I don't know about all that. Usually beer, you're good with beer. And if you drink like a margarita or something, then you better have a bucket of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give
you some heartburn?
God, yeah. You can drink one, and after that, it's just heartbreak city.
You think there's something in it, the citrus?
Yeah, something. It ain't got a beer in it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
What's going on, dude?
You, man.
No, it's not me at all.
Well, it definitely ain't the same old, same old.
Yeah.
It's been a rough week. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, you about to get the wife on the mend?
Trying, man. That shoulder surgery is no joke.
No, she's down in the shoulder, isn't she?
Bad, yeah. Yeah, but she's doing a little better today. First of the week was rough. Middle of the week was pure hell. And got her to the ER, had to go after surgery and get something for all that pain. But we got her knocked down a little bit, and today she's doing okay.
Yeah, as long as she can get some rest and sleep and
tolerate it.
Yeah. That's the main thing.
Oh, yeah, but, we got to go. There ain't going there, no going back. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's moving forward now with what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just stay positive.
That's it.
We appreciate all the people reaching out and asking how she's doing. And that was pretty cool.
It is very, very cool. You got any good shout out to anybody you want to mention before we get going, dude? Man.
Look at there. We do got a little bit here. This comes back from Dole the Great.
Dole the Great.
With it, this is somebody's being a little jokey here, Donnie. They spelled Dole this time instead of the fancy D-O-Y-L-E, which is like, let's say D-O-Y be like T-O-Y, so it'd be like Doyle. Toyle be like toy. Doyle the Great, but now she wrote Dole like pineapple, so it's like Dole. So they're laughing at me, Donnie. Dole the Great. Anyway, this is edit. I didn't put Dole the Great on my review. It just showed up there. Okay. My husband's name is Doyle. Doyle, though, and he's really great, though, really. She ain't gonna lie about it. Dole is great.
Oh,
anyway, hello, I'm Sarah from Florence, Alabama. I heard about your podcast from Nancy Grace Show, Crime Stories, which is my fave. I'm really enjoying y'all's podcast. Keep up the good work.
Ooh, I hope that we're one of her faves now.
So really, we've got like 10 stars from her.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Just trying to get out there and lead the pack. We appreciate it. Just keep them coming.
Yeah, we're glad we were on Nancy Grace and picked up several listeners from that.
That was quite an experience.
And we are going to do an episode on that and some of the background stuff.
Yeah, man, I can't wait for that one.
Yes, there was a lot of stuff that didn't make the show that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
It was quite an experience.
It was really great.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to Karen Stark for helping hook all that up.
But we really appreciate anybody that goes on Apple Podcasts and leaves a rate and review. That is awesome, and it really does help the show, and I can't express how much it does help.
Yeah, tremendous amount.
And Dale, I don't think it's too late to go on the store page and get you a Christmas gift. I think that stuff can be shipped out now before Christmas.
Yeah, they're pretty quick. Usually, a week or so.
Yeah.
Which is fast to me.
The turnaround time is quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to give a gift for Christmas for the podcast, you certainly can, and that will help the show too.
And help somebody's fashion sense.
Yeah.
And Sarah, we're just picking. We really appreciate you dropping that extra 5-star.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Dole, I love you too.
Yeah, you're a good man, Dole. All right, Dale. After this short break, we'll be right back with this episode.
All right, man. Let's do it.
All right, Dale. We are back, and we got a pretty good episode this week. This is our Thanksgiving episode.
If you say so.
Yeah. We always try to do a episode around the holidays that's sort of, that happens during that time.
Right. Don't really have to nothing to do with it except for the timing.
Yeah, the timing is the only thing. Yeah, it's not really a Thanksgiving murder, but it's with the timing.
Well, there's a lot of carving going on.
It is some carving in this one, yeah. So be warned. But we're talking about the Guy family murders.
Yes, GY.
Yeah, this is a family from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours up the road.
Yeah, not far at all.
Yeah.
Just other side of the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Well, it might be a little farther now if any roads up there.
Yeah, all the roads washed out. Still praying for them people up there from the hurricane, no doubt. But we're talking about Joel Guy Sr. and his wife, Lisa Guy. Mm-hmm. Now, they were an older couple. Joel, he was born on February the 10th, 1955. And his wife, Lisa, she was born on August 8th, 1961. Mm-hmm. And they were a little bit older. and they were getting ready to retire.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they get real old. They was just going to be able to retire.
Yeah. I think Joel was about 61 years old.
Okay.
And he was a pipeline engineer and designer.
Hmm.
So he was making pretty good money and
That sounds fancy.
very smart man.
Yes.
And his wife, Lisa, she was a human resources accounts payable administrator, and she worked for Jacobs Engineering in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Right.
But this time during Thanksgiving in 2016, Dale, they had invited their family over, and they were going to have a big Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah, Joel Sr., he had been married before.
Yes, he had.
He had a previous marriage, and he had 3 daughters from his previous marriage.
Actually, he got married to this lady. Now, I'm not sure what her name is because it never comes up. And then they got divorced like a year later. And then a year after that, they got married again, the same people. And then they had the 3 daughters, 1 daughter and then 2, set of twins, so 3 total. And then they got divorced again.
Okay.
So then that's when he married Lisa.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
Yeah. But they were living there in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they had a kid together. He was Joel Michael Guy Jr.
Yes.
And I think some people called him Joel Michael.
Oh.
Yeah. But for the sake of this show, we'll call the dad Joel Sr. and the son Joel Jr. Just to keep it straight, because there's 2 Joels in this.
Yeah.
So you got Joel Sr. and Joel Jr.
Right.
But now Joel Jr., he had graduated from the Louisiana School of Math, Science, and Arts.
Yeah, he's a pretty smart kid.
Yes.
At the time, but he's very introverted and different. I think he even demanded to be sent to this school, and I think that's just so he wouldn't be either in the public school or he just wanted to be away from home. It's kind of strange when you look into it.
Yeah. Yeah, he was wanting to attend Louisiana State University there in Baton Rouge. And I think he spent 1 semester at George Washington University.
He did?
Yeah. And his family, his mom and dad actually, they were supporting his lifestyle.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would attend classes and just never graduated from anything.
No, he was always, described as very distant. He was an outsider. He didn't really bother to establish any relationship with anybody outside of his family. I think he had like 1 friend to say he just always stayed in his room. So very, very introverted guy.
Yeah. So this Thanksgiving on 2016, Joel Jr. came home to Knoxville for Thanksgiving.
Right. He'd been going to school for years. I think, he kept saying he wanted to be a plastic surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, hell, by going on now, he's like 27 years old or 28 years old, right?
27, 28 years old.
Never had a job at all.
Never had a job. Never worked a day in his life. And his mom and dad, well, actually his mom, she was paying for everything. Paying his room and board, his rent.
His school, his car, his insurance, everything. She said that her total check, everything she made went to him. Everything.
Yeah.
They was living off of what Senior made.
And keeping him up.
Yeah.
And him living 900 miles away.
Right. And I seen an interview with a guy who was a roommate of his that said that the whole time they were together, he never ever met Joel Sr. He had met Junior's mother 1 time and never got any mail there from them as far as he knowed. And he would go home sometimes on Thanksgiving and usually every other Christmas. Other than that, he didn't have anything to do with them.
He was very introverted.
Yeah. And or either that or he just didn't like his parents. I don't know. It was just weird. And I can't imagine, to me, I can't imagine that. Not, I mean,
he stayed in all day and played video games.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And very introverted.
I ain't trying to trash on him too hard, but yeah.
Well, that's the way it was.
We can trash on him later.
But he did come home for Thanksgiving 2016, and their address there in Knoxville, Tennessee was 11434 Golden View Lane.
Yes.
That's
And then,
very nice neighborhood.
Right. I was going to say that even on this one, they wouldn't expect him to be there. The 3 daughters were going to be there for sure, and Senior and Lisa were all had, planned on it. But then Junior showed up, and I think his mom was probably really happy.
Yeah.
She had even went out to Walmart, I think he came home, a day before Thanksgiving, and the day after, I think she went to Walmart and bought a bunch of stuff, even his favorite ice creams and all the stuff that he loved, and was coming back home with all that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So they had Thanksgiving, and I think Joel Jr. was going up to his room there because they'd left his room in that house just like it was.
Mm-hmm.
All of his stuff there, everything he left, it wasn't touched.
Yeah, and they said it wasn't unusual even when he did come home for him to go in his room and stay in there when the daughters were there.
I mean, when I moved out, my room got converted to something else.
Right.
Yeah, but they kept it just like it was for Joel Jr. I don't know what he had on him, or if he was just the...
Was that Lisa's only child?
Yes.
Because, the daughters were, now even though the daughters did, in court talking about how great Lisa was and how almost like a Walton mother as far as what they looked at it, as far as being, when he come home from work, she'd always tried to have supper ready, and they even said, like he would have meats and she would have the side dishes and everything, because they grew up with a single mother who didn't really have a lot, so we would go visit them and stay there for the summer. And there's always food in the cupboards, and they really strive to be like her, because that's the kind of mother they wanted to be.
Yeah.
So this Lisa was just outstanding.
Yeah, them girls loved her.
Yeah.
And I think one girl had got engaged, and she had her engagement ring.
Yes, she did.
Like almost copied of what she had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar to what she had, yeah.
So I'm assuming this was Lisa's only child with Joel Jr.
Yeah. So at some point right prior to Thanksgiving, Joel Sr. had gotten laid off from work. His business had slacked off, and he got laid off. So him and Lisa, they were really talking about retiring early.
Yeah.
They were going to retire and move back to his hometown in Sirgoinsville, Tennessee. They were going to sell their home and move back. And when Joel Jr. got home for Thanksgiving, I guess he saw the for sale sign in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the house had been sold. It just had the stuff in the yard. It still had a lockbox on the thing, so it must just been like really recent.
Yeah.
Because they still, was supposedly been a realtor's lockbox on the front door and the whole works, on the knob,
Mm-hmm. So going into this, they told Joel Jr. that his lifestyle and him being all his stuff being paid for, it was being cut off.
Well, one of the daughters actually said that when they started crunching the numbers to see if they could do this, and said they even got down as far as how much beer they thought they was going to have a drink a week or whatever, and how much cigarettes they had. I mean, they would all the way down and crunched them down that far, and then realized that they had enough money to retire on and keep themselves up, but not enough to keep up Junior.
Junior's lifestyle was going to be
And I
gone.
think the plan was to tell him at Christmas when he came home, but since he came home for Thanksgiving, I guess he went home and told him then.
The surprise came out then.
I guess.
Yeah.
We don't have any information on that.
So they had Thanksgiving,
Yep.
and everybody parted ways except Joel Jr. He stayed there at the house.
And it's kind of odd, because one of the daughters said that they didn't even know if Joel Jr. knew the names of her children.
That's how introverted he was. Yeah.
But said that this time was different. Like, he was going up in his room, like you said, with all his stuff and pulling out all of his old toys and was giving them to them kids and stuff.
Beanie Babies and stuff.
Right.
And, yeah.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. Giving it to the kids. That's just weird.
Yeah.
But like we said, after Thanksgiving, the girls went home. They left, but Joel Jr. stayed around.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed there at the house. He's going to spend time with the parents, supposedly. Now, that following Monday after Thanksgiving, Dale, Lisa was supposed to go into work that day because they were having her a retirement party.
Yeah, big retirement dinner.
Yeah.
It was about her last day.
Yeah, they were. And she didn't show up for work.
No, which is very odd.
Very odd, because she would always, if she was going to be late, call in.
Yeah, she was always there and always on time.
Yes, she was. And she didn't call in, and a little while later, one of her employees, I think the manager there, had called to check on her.
Yes.
Called and texted her, didn't get nothing back.
No, several times, and called Joel Sr.
Didn't get no answer.
Didn't get no answer, text or call.
No answer from any of them.
No.
So it was just a little while later, the manager there called the police to go do a welfare check.
Yeah, she was worried to death.
She was.
She said she had called and texted at least 20 times.
Wow.
So she said she'll give them usually 15 after, and after that she'll call and check on them, make sure her employees are good, and especially Lisa, because she was never out or never late, and if she was going to be, like you said, she would call and let them know ahead of time.
That's right. So the police go out there, they pull up, and nothing seems amiss.
No, cars in the driveway, everything looks cool.
Everything looks good around the house.
Yeah.
So they let the office manager know that everything's good, we don't see anything going on.
Right.
So they leave.
Cars are here, everything looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometime later, they call the police back.
Yeah, it's just eating her up.
Yes,
She's like, I just don't get it.
So please go back out there. Please go back out there and do another welfare check. Just check around.
Yeah, do a little more. And so they were going to call a detective and ask him what he thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it. If you show up and you don't see anything amiss, there's nothing going on there.
Well, the house ain't on fire and the cars are there and everything looks just like a normal day in the neighborhood,
What do? You don't go in. You don't bust in on somebody.
And if you've seen the videos, you've seen where, they actually had went talked to the neighbors and asked them about it, and like, well, we ain't seen anybody, blah, blah, blah. Everything looked good, but So they did check, but not very well. I don't think the first time. I think it was just like you said, like I kind of rolled through, look around, nothing looked like it was, no devastation going on.
That's right. So they go back.
Yep. So the detective says he gets a call, and they tell him about it, and basically get the same information from the lady where Lisa worked, and she told him all that, and he's like, so he called the officer that had went by previously, and decided to have him meet him there. He thought there was enough to go over there and really check on it. Yeah.
So they go to the house, and they walk up to the front door,
Mm-hmm.
and they notice the real estate sign in the yard, but there's no real estate lock on the front door.
Which they had been told was there from the realtor.
That's right.
Yes.
So they got to look inside from the front door, and they could see groceries and things and ice cream, some sausage and bacon
Right.
sitting on the floor there in the foyer.
Which is weird to him. And he also noticed that the doorknob did not match the deadbolt.
Yeah, it was
There
different.
was kind of some scratchy looking stuff going on, but it was not like a paired, piece, because usually if you buy them, you're going to get them both in the same box and they match.
Yes.
He said he didn't. It's kind of weird to him right off the bat. So then he walked around to the back of the house.
They went around the back of the home, yeah, and they noticed that the doorknob on the back door had been removed.
Yeah, it was just a hole.
Yes, it was just a hole there.
So he squatted down
And looked through it.
Right.
And when he got up close to it, he could feel heat coming through that hole.
Right. And
Hot air.
Hot air and a chemical smell.
Yes.
And they also could see all the way to the foyer, so he could see all those groceries laying there. So he knew pretty clear he could see it from there. I guess it's just a straight shot through the house, I guess.
Yeah. So that's when an officer, he opened up one of the guy's cars in the driveway.
Yeah, they called a realtor and asked him about that. So are you sure there was a thing here? Like, there definitely was one on the door. He said, and they're the one who gave him the idea to open the car and see if there was a garage remote inside.
So they did open the garage door opener
Yes.
from the inside the
That's
car.
how they got in.
That's how they got in the house. And then when they got in the garage, they really didn't see anything in there amiss. They just,
No, look.
everything
fine.
looked normal.
Yep.
Yeah. So they went up to the back door, and that's when they were able to get in.
Yes, actually into the house.
Yes. And when they walked in, the heat was intense.
Yeah, unbearable.
The heat had been turned up to 90 degrees.
Yeah, on the thermostat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a pot on the stove boiling. There was space heaters sitting around that were turned wide open.
You could smell chemical smell in the house.
A lot of chemicals.
So a lot of wild stuff, and you can see a lot of this video on YouTube and stuff. You can actually see the walkthrough that we're talking about here,
Yeah.
where it pans over to that thermostat, and you can see it. Yeah, it's crazy.
And when they approached the kitchen table, it had both Joel and Lisa's wallets with a sledgehammer sitting on top of the table.
Yeah,
And another table, there were long guns sitting on top of the table.
yeah, different guns, bullets, stuff
Yes.
like that.
And they passed the groceries that they had spotted from the outside, all the ice cream and bacon and stuff and sausage.
And where the hammering us, they also had some vice grips and some cash money and some stuff laying there.
Yeah, random stuff sitting around.
Yes.
And they found this stock pot, this huge pot, sitting on the stove.
Yeah.
And it was on, and
It was cooking.
it was cooking.
Turned to start to go upstairs.
Yeah, this is the
And you could hear the dog barking. The dog's name is Jake, a hound dog.
old hound
And
dog
you can
Jake.
hear him, the old hound dog bark. It's
And this
more
dog
like
was
a
in the
howl.
house with that heat.
Yes,
Yeah. And the smell in the house was unbearable.
right. Said there was dog feces around the house in different places.
Yeah.
Where he hadn't been let out.
And the officers, they proceeded to send the stairway where they heard the dog barking Jake, and they found the dog locked in a bedroom.
Yeah.
And they were looking down the hallway, and they could see what they thought were blood-spattered walls.
Yeah. Some of them, when they started up the steps, it's like, whoa, that looks like blood. Like you see it on the video, yeah.
Yeah, and Dale, that's where they discovered Joel Sr.'s dismembered hands on the floor with large spots of blood on the rug.
Yeah, large.
His hands.
They went in, if you watch the video, they walk into that room. It's like an upstairs room, like where it used to maybe was a bedroom or something, but it's like a workout room. It had a treadmill and a Bowflex and some other stuff in there.
Yep.
And the Bowflex was knocked over, and some of the blinds was messed up. And they're looking around, and all of a sudden he goes, "Whoa, is that hands?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, that's hands." Like a whoa, and they start backing out. It's like, we got to get out of here and call forensics. This is a crime scene.
Yeah. But when they got back out there, the hazmat people and the officers, they continued to search.
Yeah, well, they got to clear the house.
They do.
before they let hazmat in there, so they keep going through the rooms to make sure nobody's there.
In the bathroom, Dale, they found both Joel and Lisa's dismembered corpses and they were sitting inside plastic tubs.
2 big 45-gallon blue tubs in a chemical mixture.
Yeah, and a homemade acidic solution is what they
Yeah.
come up with. Yeah.
Mhm.
Man.
And it was 95 degrees upstairs.
Yeah, because
you
it's
know, the
always
heat was
hotter.
rising, yeah. So that thermostat up there was cranked up too.
Yep. And they also found Lisa's clothing, which looked like it had been cut from her body.
Oh, it definitely was. There's a pair of scissors laying there.
And it was some sewer line cleaner, bacon.
Liquid fire.
Yeah, that stuff stinks too when it goes down your pipes. And some baking soda. There was some drain cleaner, some lye, hydrogen peroxide, muriatic acid, bleach,
All kinds of stuff
and
sitting around.
a bleach sprayer sitting
Yeah,
there.
a big one.
Wow. And nearby sat a suitcase that had a note in it with the name Ace Hardware Store
Hmm.
and a notation about the sewer line cleaner. And Dale, this home was so hazardous that the investigators, they had to wear hazmat suits to process the crime scene.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And an officer at the scene described it as the most horrific thing he'd ever encountered in law enforcement life.
Yeah. So when they went back down there, and when they started coming through and going through that house, and then we go back to the pot that's on the stove.
Yeah. And that's when they opened the pot.
Yeah.
And Lisa's dismembered head is in that pot.
Cooking.
Cooking, yeah.
And it said that it wasn't as much of a chemical smell coming from that water. It was more of a decomp smell and something, but I'm sure something was in there. But yeah, that her head was in there cooking away.
Yeah.
And one of the folks said that actually it looked like more, instead of her head being severed with a knife, it looked like it was partially severed and then partially torn off.
Man.
Real bad.
Yeah. But there was no shortage of physical evidence at this home, Dale.
No, man, there was blood everywhere. I mean, just big old places of blood.
So this is when the FBI and the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Department, they placed Joel Guy Jr. under surveillance after the crime scene was discovered. And at this point, his motivation was pretty apparent.
Yeah, I think so.
It was money.
Yeah. Well, they got to looking. I mean, who else could it be? I mean, it was all the stuff they found. I mean, then they went up to his in that bedroom. There was a backpack up there, and he had his stuff with his name in it, and he had a printed off thing for the water heater. Like, I don't know, maybe he was going to use it for something or whatever. Had a detailed thing of how it works and all this stuff, and for the exact model that was in that house. And he had a notebook and a lot of notes in it.
Mm-hmm. In addition to Lisa's head being removed, they found that both victims had their arms and legs disarticulated.
In different places.
Yeah, Joel Sr. At the waist and Lisa at the knees, and their limbs and torsos were placed in bins full of these chemicals to dissolve them.
Yes.
And each body had a large gash inflicted after death so that the chemicals would, I guess, get in more quickly to help dissolve the bodies.
Yeah. Apparently he's been doing lots of research on how to speed up the process here.
Yeah. And he was wanting to cut these bodies up so fine that he could flush the parts down the toilet.
Yeah.
And not use the
Garbage disposal.
Just flush what he could down the toilet. And had the sledgehammer to help crush up the bones to be able to get rid of them quicker.
Right.
Yeah, he was trying to speed up decomposition with the heat and these chemicals
Yes.
to get rid of the bodies. So at some point during their investigation with the hazmat team there and all the police officers there, Joel Jr. came by the house.
Mm-hmm.
He drove by and saw all the commotion going on.
And just kept going.
He kept going and went back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Went back to his apartment. And also during that time, he had used more money that he had gotten from his mom and paid his apartment rent well in advance.
$10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid the power bill in advance.
And schooling.
And his school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he'd done all that.
Done all that.
Mm-hmm. So they were placing him under surveillance there in Louisiana. And they went to check on him there.
Yeah. They started checking back time.
Yeah.
And they had found surveillance from when he had went to different stores and buying lots of stuff to come up here when he was going to bring with him on this trip.
Yeah, he was
including the two 45-gallon tubs.
Yeah, he was buying a lot of different things in advance.
Yes, all these chemicals, the sprayer, and all this stuff. He even wrote this stuff down.
His list of stuff.
Yeah, they found in that notebook I was talking about, there was like 3 or 4 pages of stuff, and this one page, and I'll read them off to you here.
All right.
it's like list by list, so you can tell you how. And he left this stuff in the house, right?
He had a recipe for murder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. First thing, get killing knives quiet in multiple, and then asterisk. Get carving knives to make small pieces. Next line, get sledgehammer dash crush bones. Next one, bring blender and food grinder to grind meat.
Wow.
I mean, he's talking about his mom and his dad.
Yeah.
Okay, get bleach, denature proteins. Get plastic bin for denature. No, I can't say it. Denature. How do you say that?
Denaturization.
Denaturization process.
Yeah.
Get plastic bin for denaturization process. Anyway, does not matter where they're killed. Just get rid of bloody spots. Prevent evidence of time of death. Not the mattress or the couches. Get rid of bodies inside of house. Their and my DNA are already there. Open a doggy door to provide an entryway. And then he scratched that out. He goes, no, he needs to be blamed, not an intruder.
He's talking about his dad.
Talking about his dad.
He was wanting his dad to be blamed for his mom's murder, and looked like his dad left
Yes.
and just skipped town or something. Yeah.
And then flush chunks down the toilet, not the garbage disposal, like you said. Because, that just goes into that case thing down there.
Yeah.
And then get plastic sheeting for disposal process. So he's making a list of this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, of all this stuff.
Everything he's going to do.
Get hollow points just in case. Ooh, we'll be seen buying bullets. Just use the computer-roo gun. Just check and make sure bullets are there. Last resort. So he's not alive to claim the half of the insurance money. So he drew an arrow and it says, all mine.
This is-
$500,000
Yeah, he was wanting that $500,000.
from Lisa's insurance money.
Yeah.
And so what it was is the beneficiaries, him and his dad would split the money if something would happen to Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's thinking is something happens to both of them, he gets it all. Okay. And then flood the house, cover up forensic evidence. So I wonder if that's why he's worried about the water heater, if he was going to flood the house. I know he's thinking about burning the house, but maybe he's going to burn it and then flood it. I don't know. He's got a lot of stuff going on in his head here.
Yeah.
Turn heat up as high as it goes. Speeds decomposition. Bleach reacts with luminol just like blood. Douse area with bleach. Big sprayer. Next line. Lie. And then trash compactor? Question mark. Body gives time of death. Alibi. Don't get rid of body if there's no forensic evidence on the body. His fingerprints and DNA.
So also he was wanting his dad's fingers to have his wife's DNA under them.
Or have her. He was going to take his dad's arm and put the DNA under her finger.
Okay, that's
to
what
make it look like she was had been attacked.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he was going to do there.
That's right.
And his plan was he wanted to go over there and stick something down the trash, the garbage disposal, not trash, I'm sorry. His plan was he wanted to go stick something down the garbage disposal to make it tear it up.
Stop it up or
and
something.
then go get his dad and come in there, and when his dad got under the sink to fix it, he was going to kill him.
Attack him when he was sort of compromised there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so what happened, I mean, that was his plan, was to do this garbage disposal thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while they were there, like I said before, when Lisa left to go to Walmart that day and buy all that stuff for him, his favorite ice creams and food and stuff, when she left, apparently Senior went up to do a workout in the room, and that's when he was attacked by Junior with that knife. And they had a big fight up there, and that's why everything was tore over, and the blinds tore, and the blood was all over the walls, and the Bowflex was flipped over, because he wasn't giving up easy.
Yeah.
But
he got the best of his dad.
yeah, well, I mean, he was stabbing the heck out of him. I guess he just finally had just subdued his.
You get that one surprise stab, then you can pretty much go.
Yeah, because they ended up, when they went back and looked, I think he had stabbed him over 35 times or
Wow.
something, from what they could tell, from what flesh was left.
And I'd even seen up close to 40 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, probably way more than that, because they're just going, basically, from medical examiner said, when they took his remains out of that tub, basically from the back of his neck down to the top of his buttocks was about the only skin that was left intact. Everything else was pretty much eat away down to the muscle, and even some of the, like his arms were already eat down, and some of the bone dissolved, and his head was totally skeletonized.
Yeah. Down to the bone, yeah.
Yeah. So in his forehead had a lot of bad stuff on the front. They couldn't tell if it was blunt force trauma or if it was just from chemicals.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
But during this assault, Joel Guy Jr., he sustained a lot of cuts to his hands.
Right. But then he just laid in wait.
Yeah.
for Lisa to get home.
Yeah. And then when his mom got home, that's when he attacked her.
Yeah, she put them groceries on the floor and went upstairs, and then he killed her.
Yeah.
With a knife. I mean, 9 of her ribs were severed. I mean, he was viciously attacked.
It was brutal, man. It was brutal. Joel Jr. getting all these cuts and stuff to him.
Yeah.
He was seen in Walmart's first aid section.
Yes.
Buying a bunch of bandages and ointment for wounds to his hands. He had his hands wrapped up.
Right. And it was pretty bad. It was bad enough that on Sunday he decided to drive back to Baton Rouge to go down to the student clinic down at school to get a treatment instead of doing anything local.
So he drove all the way back with his wounded hands.
Yeah, all the way back.
Wow.
And side note, he had also planned on killing a dog, but he didn't.
Poor Jake.
Yeah. Yeah, when those police officers went there and found him and brought him outside, man, you could tell he was just been overbearing with the heat, and got him some water, and he was just, he'd been stuck in that 95-degree house, locked in that room. I don't know if it was a bedroom or if it was a bathroom, but whatever it was, he was locked up in it.
Yeah. But they did put Joel Guy Jr. under surveillance for a few days, and they apprehended him on November 29th as he was entering his 2006 Hyundai Sonata in the Nicholson Drive apartment complex parking lot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Right, like you said, he after this happened and he went to try to get his hands fixed, and he drove all the way back. Then he drove back to Tennessee, and that's when he drove by and seen that the plan has been foiled because cops and crime scene tape was everywhere. So he just kept going and went back home and tried to play it cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming that's why all this evidence is in this house, and he's so stupid he wrote it all down and left it there. I guess he thought maybe it was all going to burn up in a house or something. I don't know. But yeah, so that's when he went back, and then they started watching him and building up and looking for surveillance and seeing all these back videos where he had bought all this stuff, and even seen him in Walmart buying the stuff, like all the bandages and stuff. And then they actually had found the video of Lisa coming out that morning with all those groceries, and that was pretty sad, knowing that next 30 minutes she's going to be killed.
Man.
But then, yeah, he went back and tried to play it cool, and then that's when they got him, like you just said.
Yeah, but they did arrest him. And in the trunk of his car, this Hyundai Sonata, they did find a meat grinder.
Yep, sure did.
Man. But Joel Guy Jr., when he went to trial, he pled not guilty.
Yeah.
And yet filed a motion that he be given the death penalty if convicted.
Yeah, well, he wanted to be his own lawyer, too.
He did.
So he could do that.
But his defense attorney, his name was John Halstead.
When they finally talked him into taking one.
Yeah, and Jonathan Harwell. He had two representatives, and they presented no evidence on his behalf.
Well, what are they going to say?
They had him, man, and the prosecution was led by Leslie Nasos and Hector Sanchez.
The only thing that I heard them say, they didn't have any witnesses, and they didn't have any evidence. They said, well, when those notebooks that had those letters in, like the one I read, and there were 3 more with different stuff to give in everybody's assets and how much money they had and all the stuff, just stuff he had wrote out. That he said, well, they never checked for DNA inside the book. Maybe somebody else wrote it. It was just, he just touched the outside of it.
Right.
And it was found in that room in a book bag with other books in it that had Joel Jr.'s name wrote inside all the books that were in the book bag in the room that used to be his room. And then they said, well, they said it was going to cut him off, but they wasn't going to cut him off to Christmas. This wasn't Christmas. But, we had also saw that Lisa's insurance policy would expire when she retired from her job, that $500,000.
Yeah.
And I think he knew that. So that's why he's surprised to come home for Thanksgiving, because he knew she was going to retire the next week. And she had to die before that happened, or it would expire, and he wouldn't get that $500,000.
Yeah. Well, that was probably through her employer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, but Joel Jr.'s trial, it took 4 days. And he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison.
Yeah.
And he was also convicted of abuse of a corpse.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually he got 2 sentences of life in prison to be concurrent. And then when it came out, they said that he would be eligible for parole in 52 years, I think it was. And if he was to get parole, then the second life sentence would kick in. And once that one's over, he would not be able to get out of prison until he's 134 years old.
Golly.
And he's 27 or 28 at the time.
But the judge, he told Joel Jr. that he thinks he's smarter than he really is, saying that the crime was committed in a very unintelligent way.
That killed him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And according to the news station, the judge said that Joel Jr. showed no remorse during the trial and even appeared proud of his actions. He also said that Joel Jr. has a depraved mind that would not change over time.
No, just such a strange person.
Yeah, very introverted, man.
I mean, you could tell by the girls that lived there, talking about how much love was in that house. So it's nothing this is no abuse case. It's just nothing. We see that a lot, where they have like an abuse, childhood or, bad stuff going on. And all, this guy had nothing but love and him, spoiled to death, actually. I mean, he'd been everything paid for him his whole life. He never had to work a day. And to do this is just mind-boggling to
Just
me.
take classes and play video games and...
I mean, you're still going to college when you're 27, 28 years old, and you're never worked a day.
Yeah.
Even the roommate said the only job he had was an internship that was an unpaid internship for a summer one.
Yeah, that was it. And it was also rumored that Joel Jr. was gay, and he had an infatuation with a friend of his. He was really fascinated with him and wanted to be with him. And he was going to use that $500,000 to get some plastic surgery so his friend would find him more attractive.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah. But Joel Michael Guy Jr. is currently incarcerated at the Northwest Correctional Complex in Tiptonville, Tennessee, Dale.
Right. Now, he wrote a letter. This was in 2020. And it says, "This was a bad idea. I am psychologically unstable. I'm having fantasies of using my fingers to gouge this gentleman's eyes out of his head while he is unconscious."
That's his cellmate, right?
Yeah. And therefore, given that, in these fantasies, it is essential that I use my fingers, as a no sharps restriction will accomplish nothing in determining this outcome. I'm writing this letter because I don't want to end up with a disciplinary infraction, or worse, more criminal charges. Like it's going to matter at this point.
Yeah.
Nor do I logically believe that this gentleman deserves to be blind. I don't know what to do. I shouldn't be allowed to access other persons while they are unconscious. This is a bad idea. Please stop me from acting out my fantasies. So what he was trying to do is get him to put him in solitary confinement, because he didn't want to be with nobody else, because how he never wanted to be with anybody. He don't want to be in. He's always introverted and stayed hid. Now he's locked up in this room with this guy. So he wrote that letter to try to get him to give him solitary.
Yeah.
Tell him he wanted to poke his eyes out.
Trying to get any way he can to be by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's one thing, too. He is eligible for parole. But it is April 30th, 2136.
Yeah.
So if he lives that long, he's
He's
eligible.
going to be 134 years old, or
Yeah.
whatever I said. Yeah.
So I say he's never getting out.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Well, this guy is just pathetic.
Yeah, and the girls talking about their parents, talking about their dad, and said he was a great storyteller. And that one girl was on the stand saying that her dad was just a great man, and she even left his number in her phone on speed dial, just hoping maybe one day to hear his voice again. Just something.
Sad, man.
Yeah, them three girls, it ripped them apart, man.
Yeah. I mean, they had nothing but love. And when you watch the trial, I mean, just talking about how much love they had for both those parents. Because she's like, Lisa's been here the whole, since I think she was 3, I think the daughter was said. So she's basically, I mean, she had her other mom. But, I mean, as far as being in this house.
That was her mom, too.
Yeah. And it was just a lot of love. And that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
This guy, pathetic. Like I said, there's a lot of carving going on for this Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Sad situation for this family, man.
We was talking about, he gave all that money, he tried to pay all that stuff up, to do that. So he didn't even wait on insurance to try to do anything. He went ahead and done it before, right off the bat. And those girls said that in the trial, when she was executive, over some stuff, they got to looking and seeing what happened, that when he paid the $10,000 to that apartment complex, they wouldn't return it. So
they kept that money.
They got the other money. The money came back from the other places. I think the power company maybe, and I won't believe they said it specifically, but she said all the other monies that they got back. So I'm assuming the power company and LSU gave the money back, but the damn apartment complex kept the $10,000. I'm like, dude, the guy's going to prison. He ain't never going to be in that apartment.
That's crappy, man.
Why wouldn't he give it back?
Yeah, it's crappy.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
People lost their lives and they just want their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just kind of get cranky about stuff
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
just, it's just shitty.
Very much so.
All right, but dude, that's our Thanksgiving episode for this year.
That'll make you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hold your family close, people, is all I can say.
That's right.
Hold your family close. All right, bud, we're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.